Hello, it is me, the best trunk in the world. Definitely not lying, despite it being just one day. Anyway, I'm going to be talking about trunk, and this is a voiceover. So I'm going to give some brief my brief thoughts on trunk, and hopefully Supercell will address some of these because I feel like trunk as an aggro tank feels too much of a control feels too much like a true control brawler. I think there's too much emphasis on controlling, and I'm not really a fan of that. Like, I get that they're supposed to be weak with their main attack, and like the ant pile buffs them since they do more damage while standing on top of an ant pile, and they're faster on ant piles. Not to mention opponents walking on the ant piles makes them slow. So the ants do indeed slow the enemy, but I'm not really a fan of Trunk having to be this aggro tank that's all about control and just zooming all over the place and slowing opponents down with their piles. And they also pretty much promote this style with the first gadgets, because the first gadgets drops a big pile of ants and it has a 7-second cooldown, so like Trunk is able to spam that out. And on top of me not liking Trunk's gameplay style, I'm also not really a fan of their attack, their main attack. I think it's unique, I think it's a good idea, considering it makes sense since the main thing about them is that they spin with an oven mitt attached to their tail-like arm thing that they were controlling in the fake tree that they made. But I'm not a fan of how long it takes, which is surprisingly the least of my problems. I think the windup feels like a little too punishing for them, especially compared to like Jackie and... not Jackie, I meant to say BB. Jackie doesn't have that sort of type of thing with the delays. But I mean BB and Frank. Like, it feels like even slower than those two for me. And on top of that, their crit hitbox is really strict and inconsistent, because like sometimes an opponent will be in my ring but they take no damage, or I'll see them get hit by the orange parts visually, but they just take the non-crit box damage, which really frustrates me, because I don't know why, but Trunk is the only Jackie attack that feels deceptively small, and I don't really like that at all. And compared to other crit mechanics, I feel like Draco is more forgiving and more consistent to get with his crit box compared to Trunk. And I feel like Shade is also consistent, because Shade has an indicator while aiming their attack to show the center of the attack, which is where the crit spot is for Shade specifically. Trunk does not really have that, and I feel like it's really small, their hitbox, and also just inconsistent. Maybe it's because you move around as Trunk, but I really don't like that. And The only real saving grace for Trunk to me is their super. I know that people are really underwhelmed with it because it's just a multi-hit rapid jab one. Like it's basically a Daryl super, except you don't knock back your opponents. But what I like about it is that you ignore pulls and you ignore knockback while using your super, and it's really fun. I think it's really cool and really aggressive. It's really helpful, and also other brawlers can just basically do that. So like it's not even unique to Trunks specifically. Like I know that Daryl and Bull act differently, and like they have like certain decent invulnerabilities towards knockbacks and what's it called, and pulls, especially compared to somebody else like Melody whose dashes aren't like that. But anyway, I was showing the gadgets and star powers and what builds I use, but this is the build I really like. I think For the Queen is always going to be the better gadget. Worker Ants is niche. Like the best I can see use for it is like into single shot anti tanks and single shots tanks. But there's so many multi projectile stuff, so like I don't bother using that. He just wants control with Trunk and with their star powers. The damage reduction one is really helpful, just for making sure the enemy's attacks feel weaker while they are standing on the ants piles. The vision one is helpful, especially on like certain bushy maps. I can see it being useful in like sneaky fields, but I don't really recommend using it. I think the damage one is way better, the damage reduction, because you'll at least have a teammate who's going to use vision gear on that map instead. So like I don't really see a point in it. Much like how Bo's circling Eagle star power is good, but like it's very map specific. But with Trunk, I don't think it really does make much use. Again, you can spam out dirt piles with a 7-second cooldown, but anyway, this hot zone map was really bad, so it's not really a good showcase of a hot zone game, unfortunately. And what else do I have to say? Oh yeah, I'm not a fan that Trunk doesn't have any traits, but I'm more or less fine with it. I don't think Trunk needs a trait that bad, considering their mobility tank, and they have quite a lot of mobility. Like they have even more mobility than Ash, despite their inconsistent damage and inconsistent attack range. And Ash is a type of brawler who doesn't have the tank trait. Again, I don't think Ash really needs it because like he has the rage mechanic, but with Trunk, I don't see too much of a problem with it. Then again, I know that their super is very mobility heavy, but I don't know. I don't really see it, because like I feel like if Trunk gets the tank trait or a similar trait to that, like whether they'll charge their super by standing on a pile of ants, or the range traits like Cordelius and Buzz, I feel like they'll end up pretty similar to Ollie, except their main attack is worse than Ollie to an extent, but also better, I guess, since they at least do more damage than Ollie. I don't know. That's all I really gotta say, aside from like one more thing, which is the gear build I like, which is speed and health. I think speed pairs really well with the bushes. Trunk gets to constantly be speedy. I don't do a good job of that here. I'm very bad playing Trunk. I mean, no. I am very sure that Trunk is bad at heist. I am not bad at Trunk at all. But I like speed and health a lot for them. And I just try to ignore their damage problem. Like, you can run speed damage if you want, or health damage. If, like, you're playing in triple dribble, maybe, because that has a lack of pushes. But with Trunk, I only really like 4 gadgets in particular. Speed, health, gadget cooldown, and damage. Gadget cooldown can let Trunk spam out their ant piles and just take control of the whole small map, because you want to play Trunk in small maps despite how much worse they are compared to other tanks in aggro. And with damage, it'll help their inconsistent damage by quite a bit, especially since there's a slow reload speed that they have with their main attack. That's really all I've got to say about Trunk. Hopefully Supercell can buff them. I don't think they need that much help of a buff. I'd like to see Trunk in ranked at some point before, not some point. I'd like to see how Trunk does in ranked once they're available to play in ranked before we do some balance changes, because like it's a lot harder to tell with them, similar to like Meeple and Ollie and Finks, compared to like Ali, who was just obviously broken with how they played, because Ali had the rage mechanic, fast jumps, had invisibility, like, yeah, it was very much too much from the brawler. And with Trunk, the only thing I've got so far is that they're speedy, they want control, and that's it. And that'll be all. So hopefully this video was good enough to show my thoughts on Trunk. Hopefully my commentary was good enough. And goodbye.